Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining me for the final video in the series on managing your time. So far, we've created plans for both long and short term so that we can be super organised and know what is coming and get on and do everything that needs doing. We've even made sure that we've taken time out for ourselves for the sake of our own mental health. Time to stop and recover from having a stressful time. But sometimes we really do have too much to do, and that nicely organised life seems a long way off. Maybe next term you could have this perfect life, but right now you've got 30 hours of work to do every day. Well, I'm going to show you two techniques here that may help you prioritise your work, even decide to say no to things. The first technique is something every corporate business will teach you if you decide to go into the corporate world. This is one of the very first time management tools that they will cover. It's really simple and it's as follows. Things that need to get done are either very important or very urgent. So we build a table like so, and along the top we have important and not important. Along the side we have urgent and not urgent, so that we end up with a matrix. In this first box, write in everything that is both urgent and important that needs doing. In the next box, everything that is important but not urgent. You can decide for yourself on the definition of urgent. Today, tomorrow, next week, next month. In the next box, write down things that are urgent but not as important. And in the final box, things that are neither urgent or important. This is called the Urgent Important Matrix, and it's a really well-known tool. Now, this is really helpful if you have a lot to do and you can prioritise and do everything that's in box one, both urgent and important, followed by deciding whether or not to do the urgent but not important. Could you perhaps get somebody else to help you out? Or could you get a deadline moved so that it's less urgent? After all, it's not as important. Now, the ideal situation to be in is to have everything in the important but not urgent category. This is where happy, stress-free lives live. Yes, it's important and needs doing, but I have the time to do it as and when. If something is here, but your urgent and important box is full, then just focus on that. Now, the final box, the not urgent and not important, you've got to ask yourself, if it isn't urgent or important, does it really need doing? Do you really need to get all stressed about it? Or could you just say no? Could you say, actually, it's not a priority right now, and postpone, or simply just say no? Now, a lot of people have a habit of putting just the fun stuff in that final box. Of course, revising for an exam is more important than catching up on Netflix. But remember that you do need downtime, and that it should be scheduled. And perhaps rephrasing it as downtime gives it a bigger priority and can be moved into the important category, then slowly into the urgent important category to make sure that you do still have that downtime. Now, the second tool that you can use is when everything in your urgent and important matrix is in box one. Everything is important and it all needs doing right now. So here, we take a different piece of paper and we split it this time into 8 boxes. Now, this technique is called the power of 7, and we're going to be using 7 of these boxes. The 8th we're going to deliberately leave blank. Now, the brain works in a particular way. You know how sometimes you're just on a roll and everything works. You can just type and the words just keep coming. You're doing maths and suddenly you just get that equation and you can just derive for hours. You get into the zone and you just run with it. It takes about 20 minutes to get into that zone. And even doing the slightest thing differently can knock you out of it. The doorbell goes and you check your phone. It'll take 20 minutes for your brain to get back into that rhythm of what you're doing. So we're going to fill each of these 7 boxes with a type of activity around how the brain works. Maths, creative, physical, talking, listening, they're all different types of activity. So we take all of the activities that we need doing, like studying or the home life, and break them down into the types of tasks. So say if you've got 2 essays to write and sorting out a house for next year, you'd split them up into researching for the essays and researching for the housing, then the writing, and then the organising of the house viewing. So we're actually splitting them up by type. And each of these boxes will be split into a type task. So difference from online and offline research, numbers versus making a phone call versus typing, they're all different types of tasks. So now when you're completing your to-do list, do everything of one particular type, then take a break. We always suggest staring into box 8. But if you're hunched over a desk, go stretch, make a cup of tea, and then move on to the next box. If there are lots of short tasks, don't just switch from box to box. Go from one box to box 8 and then back into the next one. Don't just look at your phone or the TV. Stick to one type of activity without breaking it, and you'll work far more efficiently than you have ever worked before. And that urgent, important to-do list will just soon start to disappear. So we've looked at the long-term plan, and we've looked at fitting everything into your week. None of this should take long to do, and it may not seem important during the quiet times. You'll really be able to feel the benefit from it when times get stressful. Knowing that you can just fall back on a ready-made plan is an absolute lifesaver. It also means if there's a particularly busy or stressful period, you've already scheduled in your downtime or something to look forward to. And that something is that key to pulling yourself through that stressful time. Knowing what the light at the end of the tunnel looks like means that you can schedule in mini breaks in the busy period, giving yourself a little bit of recovery time on a Friday evening and the energy to get you into that next phase. It means that you can make an informed choice about how you spend your time. You can enjoy the party because you've scheduled it in and you've made everything else done in your diary. It's the night off you need and it's the night that you deserve. But let's face it, that choice is still yours. You may decide that your best friend's birthday party takes priority over completing an essay. But by seeing that bigger picture, you'll be able to make that informed decision much more easily and stick to it. So I hope you've enjoyed this video series and it's allowed you to make those informed choices, taking control of how you spend your days and allowing yourself to take the time to stay stress-free and healthy. Bye for now.